Back with the ogres, we were talking about why in the real world we would be unable to tame absolutely everything. Morvard sets me right here, says taming and domesticating are two different things. If we were as strong as ogres in real life, a lot more animals would be tameable. That doesn't mean we could domesticate more of them, because among other things, it requires a hierarchical pack structure of the animals in question. And a great comment thread coming off of it as well. I guess there's a distinction between truly being in control of the creatures surrounding you and that you surround yourself with, and simply not caring if they try to bite you because you're so much bigger than them. That's a fair point. Kind of like how we can keep scorpions as pets in terrariums, but we wouldn't really consider it domesticated. Port Stalwart shone like a pale jewel above the glistening turquoise lagoon. Built on a hillside that rose sharply above the water, the little village had swelled in the last 10 years. The clean white masonry of new buildings rose like gulls' wings, hovering above the tidy rows of small houses that dotted the crisp, snowy beaches. Two waterfalls poured out of the forest, one above the other, leaping down from threaded boulders through heavy greenery, and pouring at last with a bubbling roar into the bay. After the great tidal wave hit the Crichton shore and devastated Lion's Arch, Port Stalwart's harbour had swelled well beyond its banks. Now it was home to bustling docks, a massive wharf, and the most active trade community on the coast. The Asura traded through Stalwart. On occasion, a Nor or Char vessel would dock there, risking the ire of the humans in the name of profit. While not welcomed exactly, such vessels had little choice if they were to berth after a storm.
They're the ones I'd like to ship now.
Whitlock and his legionnaires.
Kidding. Did he get in any fights?
Ritlock mocks and shames them. A few grim words and they concede defeat.
Or a rabbit. How about both? Yum.
Have you heard anything about a possible treaty with Ebonhawk?
I heard the humans will cave in and give us what we want. That's all that matters to me.
Alright, welcome guys. We are back at the Black Citadel. So if you missed it, if you chose not to watch, Tyrix just went on one of our first bonus adventures of the series, where we tackled a massive dragon creature of the brand, but it wasn't really anything to do with the main story. So yeah, kind of an optional one, but if you look at our back piece, that is how we earned this flashing branded piece of equipment here. Now I know what some of you are going to be thinking, that doesn't look very good, it doesn't match our armor, blah blah blah. I agree. We're going to wear it, though, as a token, a memento of our momentous victory in the hands of both Tyrix and the community. And maybe turn it off when we have our next big gear change. But on our way back to Lion's Arch, where, of course, we have just been recalled to, or we've heard rumors. I think, actually, next we're going to go to the Vigil Keep and report our progress with the ogres. On our way back, just before we go into the Asura Gate that is up there, near the big balloon there, by the way, as well, because, of course, the Festival of the Four Winds is going on. I wanted to take you guys just to see something at the Black Citadel. I'm not sure if we've shown. I'm pretty sure we didn't show it, but I might have got carried away before and showed it early. But it's around this corner, just beyond the trading post. And looking out towards some of the Ascalonian ruins. So we haven't thought about the ghosts for a while. We thought a lot about Flame Legion. We thought a lot about Separatists, Renegade, Branded, Ogres. We haven't thought much about the ghosts. Well, they are a problem for the Char, and one of the more long-standing ones, I suppose. Here we're going to learn a little bit about how they've been tackling them. And if we have read this before, then hey, this will be a due reminder because it's about to become quite relevant. Remus, Horde Blaster, says, hey, you had a chance to fire off a few rounds from the Ghost Blast batteries? We say, Ghost Blast batteries? Anti-ectoplasmic cannons really don't interest me. No, I want to use them. He says they're just below us on the outer wall. These turrets loaded with special anti-ectoplasmic charges to repel the ghosts from the Nalani Academy ruins. So those are the ruins of the old human academy for magic, where there was that teleporter I talked about in one of the videos very recently. And there's obviously, as a human-centric area, and especially a magic human area, lots of ghosts around there. So the Char have set up these cannons to fire at them. What will they think of next? These sound intriguing. Well, if you have the time, you can take the Descender down to the Ghost Blast platform and pop a few ghosts. Well, thanks for the tip. So this is one of the more interesting areas of the Black Citadel that I've always kind of liked.
Gonna get past these walls.
These cannons have an answer for anything that comes our way.
So, okay, so they're talking a bit about the cannons. As I see, it's one of the more curious parts of the Black Citadel because of how it's kind of locked content.
Wheels keep turning, we keep fighting.
These guys don't seem to have any special dialogue for us, so let's keep going. We can choose which ramp we want to pick. More soldiers here standing, watching guard. And as you can see down here, look, there is actually a portal-looking device here, as though we could walk through this. That's the same animation that appears when you transition from map to map in this game. But you can't go through it, and the door's shut. So it feels like it's cut content in that the devs maybe had an idea to allow us to fire the cannons at some point, but now we can't. And it's just this weird extra thing in the Black Citadel. The other racial capitals don't necessarily have similar things, but it is here at the Black Citadel. If you look over, you can see, look, there's little cubs here. People are cheering. And if you look down, that's the descender, and it would take you down to this platform here, where you can see just behind those trees there are 3 cannons firing away, perpetually shooting at ghosts that stream out of that ruin over there. So it's cool, and I guess that the idea was you'd be able to go in this, get on the cannons, and actually fire as a bit of a mini game, maybe an activity like archery shootout, and then it never got implemented. There is some dialogue when we speak to Battery Commander Short Shots. This is, where do you think you're going? This descender is for authorized personnel only. And we say, well, where does it go? He says, down to the Ghost Blast Battery platform. But it's off limits while they're test firing the turrets. What's the Ghost Blast Battery? An array of our long-barreled Ghost toasters. Used to be our main defense against the ghosts from the old Nolani Academy. Used to be? Have the ghosts stopped coming? And he says, bah, ghosts aren't so much of a threat these days, as they are a wispy pain in the haunches. Of course, they're still fun to send back to the mist, or wherever it is we blast them to. Thanks for the explanation.
Give me a report.
Goodbye. Who can I see about getting authorization? At the moment, everyone who's got authorization to give you authorization is probably monitoring the test firing of the battery. Then can you give me directions to this ghost battery? Sure, it's located right at the bottom of this descender, which, as I mentioned, is for authorized personnel only. So yeah, you can't get down there because everyone authorized to give us authorization is down there, which we need authorization to get to. So you might be wondering, well, why do I want to show you this now? Well, first of all, to demonstrate that, you know, I posed this question, the Char have got all these front lines, which is most important, to demonstrate that maybe the ghosts are a little bit lesser of a threat recently because of new technologies. And the technology behind those cannons is very new. In fact, if instead of being Blood Legion and following Tribune Ritlock Brimstone, we had instead chosen at character creation to be Iron Legion, we could have seen a little bit more of the backstory of that technology, the ghost blasting technology the Char have recently developed, and how they are purposing it. We could have met a couple of characters from a place known as the Gear Warband. The other interesting thing about that story step is that it's one of the only story steps where charm, ferocity, dignity really matters. Like, there's a point where you can speak to Ritlock, and if you choose ferocity, he won't be your ally, but if you choose charm or dignity, you can coax him to come and be your ally, so that's kind of a fun thing. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about before we move away from Ascalon for a short while. So, back to Lion's Arch and indeed the Vigil Keep. I will see you guys there very soon. Fantastic! Back at the Keep on a nice, bright, blue, sunny day here, and our objective is to meet with General Almora at the Vigil Keep. Let's see what she has to say about our work with the Ogres. This is kind of an interesting story step name, for what it's worth, in that this is called Forearmed is Forewarned, and as I record this video, the most recent patch for the game, which introduces stories a million miles away in Tyria, really far away, disconnected characters, but the most recent patch has a step that's called Forewarned is Forearmed, like they reverse the words, which is really kind of funny. What makes it even more confusing, perhaps, is that apparently in the story journal, it's not right now, but at some point in the story journal for this step, they reverse it, so it's just all a bit of a mess. You'll notice as we walked in, we got a mail as well. Check it out. Ritlock's messaged us. He says, "Ears up, soldier. About recruiting the Ogres. I heard about your work with the Ogres. Well done. They're tough as nails. My people have been skirmishing with them lately near the Brand, and they usually held their own, so it'll be good to have them with us against the Dragons." That's cool, right? Because obviously the Char and the Ogres would be allies in that sense. "I'd write off their village as an acceptable loss if I were you. An army needs soldiers. You can worry about homes after the war's been won." So cavalier. Some of the members of Destiny's Edge are still trying to salvage something out of that fiasco in Lion's Arch, but for now, I'm staying out of it. I'd rather focus on problems that can actually be solved and don't involve a lot of tiny, hairless freaks whining at each other. Make the Legions proud. I'll be waiting. You know, Ritlock's kind of a dick at this point in the story. I'm guessing this is right after he's angry leaving Twilight Arbor and he's like furiously typing away to us. All right, or penning away, scribbling away. All right, Ritlock, well, we'll see how long that lasts. Let's move on into people who are actually being a bit more proactive. This time, I guess Almora is not waiting by the hearth. We can choose which door we want to go down. Let's go into this actual battle room. And check it out, a big black raptor there. That guy looks awesome.
Our oldest legends tell truth. The time of trial has come once more.
The dragons are a threat to everyone, John Core. I'm glad your village has joined the fight against them.
This the Ogres know. It is best to have allies. We will stand beside the Vigil.
Oh, that's so awesome. That first line, our oldest legends tell the truth. The time of trial has come once more. So the Ogres have some sense of a time of trial. They have a sense of perhaps what the other ancient races know as the Elder Dragons during the last Rising when they woke up and wiped everyone out. It's kind of an amazing thought, isn't it? But we don't really hear of Ogres as on par as those other ancient races, just like I said from the Harpies yesterday. But yeah, okay, so let's speak to everyone before Almora.
Oh, welcome.
Hello! We meet again. You saved my life in the brand before you saved the rest of my tribe. I won't forget that. This is an interesting bit of dialogue here. Hopefully I'm not going too deep and boring. But it feels like, you know, each chunk of story steps we do is like a huge amount of time has passed. And the devs write these little lines here to recap the player and maybe even the person we're playing as in-game of what's going on. It's kind of like, you know, a new edition of a comic comes out and then you get the next chunk of story. And these lines like that always make me think of that, you know, like, do we really need a reminder that we just saved your life? Because, yeah, maybe the idea is it's been several weeks. We can ask, can the new Kroll spare both of you and Lagula? And I mean, I guess it's got to be a couple of weeks' time distance between these story steps because these ogres have now, you know, found new purpose. They've got here and all of that, you know. Can the new Kroll spare both you and Lagula? For now, a Kroll needs a chieftain, but Lagula is determined to see her oath satisfied. See her oath satisfied. Don't worry, guys. There's not many typos in Guild Wars 2, I promise. I may have to return to oversee things in Lagula's name, but until that happens, I'm at your service. All right, the more ogres we have, the better. What? There's a chieftain. She says, so this is her, and she's just called Chieftain now. I've come to contribute to your cause, to fight the dragons and their minions. How's the new Kroll coming along? Not as fast as I'd like. Change comes slowly, but we are close to picking a new site for our new home. I look forward to seeing it once we win the war. Just like with many of the other lesser races, unfortunately, as keen as these guys sound, it will be a while before they truly help us out. We're still at the calm before the storm right now. We don't quite know how sincere things are going to be, so I think these guys, without anything meaningful to do, will go leave. Forgal's here. He doesn't want to speak just yet. War Master Ifut. I love Asura in the Vigil. It's such a cool pairing to me. I'm War Master Ifut, the Vigil's foremost strategist. Forgal's spoken highly of you. Strategist? What exactly do you do, War Master? I create battle tactics for potential situations. Like if Primordus came up under Divinity's reach. Or if Kraukatoric returned to carve another brand. I love this line. I'm not going to try and spoil where the story's going and what might happen. But I love the idea, and for several reasons, that one or even both of these were very deliberate foreshadows from the devs as to things that might happen. Will we see Kraukatoric carve another brand? If so, will we see Primordus come up under Divinity's reach? Ooh, you guys remember I gave you that trivia about the Great Collapse and stuff and the old district there? What has Forgal said about me? Well, just between you and me, he said you were the best hope we had against the dragons. Honestly, I've never seen him this impressed. That's awesome. He's a good soldier and a good friend. We're such, like, adrenaline-fueled bros. He seems to think the same of you, Tyrix. I think his words were, the kid I should have had. Huh. I mean, wow, as Tyrix, I don't really get it that much, but maybe as some other races, you could definitely see Forgal as a father figure, which is kind of a companionship role that you know, we never would have had with Siren, and we never would have had with Tybalt, but you get like that real bond, a different kind of bond, but a real bond with Forgor here. Such high praise. Can I ask another question? Are you assigned here at Vigil Keep? Yep, I've been creating secondary strategies in case of an attack on Lion's Arch. Can never be too careful. Okay, well, hopefully we won't have to count on those. Loranthir once again as well.
Some must fight so that all may be free.
Always something to contribute to. He says, hello, my name is Loranthir. I'm General Almora's second in command. Isn't it odd to have a Sylvari working for a Char? Odd? Perhaps, but I am one of the secondborn. I've seen more of the world than most. What do you mean by secondborn? Well, when the Mother Tree first created Sylvari, I was among the second group that bloomed from her branches. We know that, but Tyrix doesn't. What will happen to the creatures from this destroyed village? Your little friends will be treated what? Little? Little friends? Don't let the ogres hear you say that, Loranthir. They've already been given a place where they can rebuild in peace. I'm glad. And then lastly, what do you do for the Vigil? Well, I serve as secondary commander, organize troop movement across theaters of war, and take command if Almora needs assistance. We already kind of know that. I love the phrasing here, though. Theaters of war. Anything that makes Tyria feel big and vast is awesome in my book. All right, thanks for the information. Interesting bit of trivia here as well, guys. If we were a Sylvari in the Vigil, and we spoke to Loranthir right now, Loranthir would remark about our wild hunt, and he'd say, oh, I don't have a wild hunt, but I've heard of yours. To kill the dragon, that's mental. And that's kind of a cool little moment for Sylvari that joined the Vigil. All right, Almora, sorry, I've been yabbering away. What's going on? How are you feeling about the whole Ajax thing? Good? Bad?
Forgil told me what happened, Crusader. I'm proud that you saved so many innocents. You've shown the strength of your resolve. I'm promoting you to War Master. Effective immediately.
Thank you, General. It's my honor to serve the Vigil.
I wish I could give you a proper ceremony before you go back in the field, but we have a critical issue at hand. People in Lion's Arch are disappearing without explanation. I need you both to look into it.
With all due respect, General, isn't that a job for the Lion Guard?
Ordinarily, yes. But some of the missing people are Lion Guard. Worse, we've lost contact with one of our Vigil tacticians stationed there.
That makes it our problem. Understood, ma'am. What area should we survey? And what should we be looking for?
I recommend you start with the sewers. That's where those Lion Guard were last seen.
I've seen plenty. But you're the finest War Master I've had the honor to serve with. Oh, hell, don't get all teary-eyed on me now.
Oh, Forgor, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to hold it back. All right, there's loads to talk about here. First of all, I hate the way that the voice actress says that line in the middle. Some of them are Lion Guards. You can tell that she in the voice acting booth had no context for the previous line. So she just says, oh, some of them are Lion Guard, and it doesn't quite work. It's so frustrating to me because I know how that line is supposed to be delivered, and it's like kind of off. But yeah, we are a War Master. You know, for some of the other adventures we've been on and some of the other orders, it feels like those promotions come a bit too quick and too thick, but we've done a hell of a lot with the Vigil, and especially if you add taking down the Shatterer onto that list, I'm pretty sure we're deserving of becoming a War Master, just like a foot here or whatnot. So now the cutscene's over, she will speak to us. She says, I'll tell you all I can, but be quick, the situation's hot. Right, yeah. What? Tell me more about the people who are disappearing. They're primarily guardsmen, but some are civilians. We were notified when one of our tacticians disappeared. Any idea what's happening to them? That's where you come in, War Master. Good luck. So, while with the other orders, when they start looking at Lion's Arch, they're a bit more self-interested, really. Oh, just a single agent we're interested in. Oh, our research we're interested in. The Vigil are looking at the townspeople and just regular civilians and realizing a lot is amiss in the town. You don't really realize that with the other races. With the other orders, sorry. But with the Vigil, you realize, no, there are problems around, and the Vigil are there to solve them.
Let's talk.
I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, we gotta go in the sewers, really? Because that's where our guy was. How in the... So, Forgor says, sewers. How in the blazes am I gonna fit in sewers? That's great. Have the Norn go in the sewers, totally. I've heard they're quite spacious. Don't worry, old man. Worry? I'm not worried. And if I was, I'd be more worried about the missing people, you young rascal. We'll get on our way as soon as possible, never fear. Don't you guys just have an overwhelming temptation to call your dads right now and call him old man? All right, okay. Catch you later, John Core, Ogre Chief. May we meet again. Fingers crossed, and let's move on to Lion's Arch. All right. So, we are here in Lion's Arch. I've taken us to an area of the city that you guys haven't seen just yet. I don't want to do some massive tour of this variant of LA just yet in the series, because at this point in the timeline, this variant of LA didn't exist. But I've come here for a very good reason. And that's because Lion's Arch doesn't just serve as the catalyst for most big stories in the game. It doesn't just serve as a melting pot between all races and player characters of all different biographies and backgrounds. It also functions as a hub for a lot of different services you won't find elsewhere in Guild Wars. So, for example, you know these festivals that are going on? We're currently under the Festival of the Four Winds. You saw Super Adventure Books before. They have a special vendor here, this festival merchant, that will sell you various festival things for festival currencies if you miss it in those brief windows of the real world year when that stuff's available. That's an example of one such service. There are several, but one of them's really important from the very release of the game, and it's hidden away in a cave off on the side of Lion's Arch. You really have to go out of your way for. And that's this place here called the Hooligan's Roots. Funnily enough, in some of the beta accesses of the clients, I think this place had a totally different name. It was called New Lion's Arch or something. It's a cave off on the side of the town run by Skrit. Now, the idea was, way back in the original timeline of 1325, I believe it was all just pirates and brigands and things. Maybe there are lots of Skrit in here as well. But in this sneaky little cave, of which we don't have to worry too much about the lore, the devs sometimes add interesting features. Here's an NPC, for example, that's added very recently, just a few months ago, to honor a community member who unfortunately passed away, a guy called Ravius, and I have a video on my channel of playing through that if you guys are interested in checking that out. But ever since really early on the game, if you came up, there was a special vendor, a Skrit here, Saratok, who just unexplainably, almost randomly, sells this item here. It's called a Hall of Monuments Portal Stone. This is an item that is related to the original game, Guild Wars 1, and is a feature that a lot of people were excited about back when Guild Wars 2 first came out. See, if you were a player of the original game, you could earn rewards that would transition through to the sequel. And the way that that worked in the original game is you would earn the rewards and then take it to a special place called the Eye of the North in the Shiver Peak Mountains, really far to the north. You would take it to this special place called the Eye of the North, and then it would remain there in a hall as like a secret vault for 250 years until you installed Guild Wars 2, and the characters in Guild Wars 2 could go back to that hall and recover their old rewards. The two accounts could be connected, and it was because of this connection that Guild Wars 1 saw a lot of player activity. People wanted to get the rewards to reclaim them in the sequel. So, way back when the game originally came out, in the spirit of this Let's Play, you found tons of people getting their Hall of Monuments portal stones, and as you can read the text here, it says double click to travel to the ruins of the Hall of Monuments. It takes you to a special hall way off in the far Shiver Peaks. And I mean, you don't see the icon for a level 80 map here, but it's like here, guys. It's really far away, completely remote from all other maps. He had lots of players going there. Now, I was tempted in this video to buy this and go there, but I kind of want to save it for a special moment a bit later. Nonetheless, I did feel at some point early in the game I should represent the feature. We obviously have lots of different characters and backgrounds and stories experiencing this game. It's not all humans anymore, despite the fact humans were the only races going to the Hall of Monuments, you know, as playable characters in the original game. So, I might leave it up to you all which character will be the true inheritor of the Hall of Monuments. Who will see that place? Who will reap those rewards? It will be up to you guys, and at a very special moment in the series, we will, by the end, return there and claim our legacy once we have proven ourselves. So you guys can think about that, drop that in the comments, and we will see one day who it is. Will it be Tyrix? Well, we shall see. The other interesting thing I wanted to show off now is that story, The Founding, we read in some of the recent videos to do with Ebonhawk and the founding of Ebonhawk. The guy that wrote that story, Kim's the Historian, his ghost, actually appears in that special area of the world, the Hall of Monuments, that you go to when you use that stone. So we can meet Kim's the Historian who wrote that book on Tyrix if we want. Or maybe some others. There's some other characters there as well. So yeah, I kind of wanted to give you guys all that trivia while it's fresh on your minds. And so now let's move on. Let's go back to Lion's Arch as it actually truly appeared for the main bulk of Forearmed is Forewarned. Meet War Master Forgul near the sewers in Lion's Arch. So here we are, lovely, wading around in the water that you can hear sloshing about our feet here. As a char, I'm sure we don't enjoy this very much either, Forgul. I know you're very big. And yeah, so check it out. That's LA back there. And it's our job to walk on through this grate. Oh, there's a whole place down here. Hi, Forgul.
These sewers are dangerous. All sorts of monsters could wash in from the sea. Stick together. Be ready for anything.
So, as you guys know, probably know, I'm actually a big fan of sewer levels and deep, dark cave areas in RPGs. I always like them as, you know, you descend to these horrible, murky, gross places and then you appreciate the beautiful areas at other times. This is one of the only real occasions where you get good sewer content in all of Guild Wars 2 as of now. Kind of cool. Hey, Forgul. More room in here than I thought there'd be, at least. Come, we should hurry with our search. Keep your head down and it'll be fine. Now, remember, the whole point of Lion's Arch is... It was destroyed by a tidal wave when ore rose from the sea, destroyed everything, and then all the flotsam and jetsam was cobbled together to build makeshift outpost that then was cobbled on top of other stuff, So when you go deep down under Lion's Arch into the sewers, who knows what kind of nasty, crazy caverns and strange secret places that thugs and creepy crawlies might live and exist. So if people have been getting abducted all over above ground, it kind of makes sense that whatever's doing it might be doing it from beneath the city and plucking them into the sewers. I'm sure there have been many great horror stories about that. The other really nice touch at the start of this instance as we walk in is that there's all these little rats fleeing. Okay, listen, if rats are fleeing, you generally don't want to go to wherever they're heading to, but that's exactly what we're going to do. Interesting little note, some of the achievements in the game that were here way back at launch are known as Weapon Master achievements, and they ask you to kill, like, thousands of creatures with various weapons. So if you score thousands of kills with greatswords, then you can become the Greatsword Master, and you can get rewards for that. It's 5,000 killing blows. The thing is, to get these achievements, you have to last hit to get credit with that weapon, and that's very rare for Guild Wars to do last hitting. Interestingly enough then, one of the ways that in the early days, many people sort of got these achievements if they were interested in them, it's totally optional, obviously, but one of the ways people did it was right here at the start of Forearmed is Forewarned, because you can just kill these rats infinitely, and in one hit, you can continue cleaving these up. So, like the Shield Master one, only Guardians could get, and they did a tiny amount of damage on their shields. You guys haven't seen any Guardian gameplay yet, but they do a tiny bit of damage to their shield, and you could use it on these rats to slowly grind that up. These days, there's lots of other ways to do it, and better places, but it always stands out in my memory as that. God, we look cool, slinging that greatsword over our shoulder. There's another thing I'd like to show off as well, just before we get into the instance proper. And that's this. As we just walked in and found this cave bat, you'll notice that the lighting changed. Now, the reason that the lighting changed is because when this instance originally was added, what would happen as we got this deep into the sewers is it would add a post-processing effect to our screen that would make it really dark and cavernous and kind of black, which is kind of exciting, right? However, because nowadays, when you play in Lion's Arch missions, it's supposed to be all sepia. I talked about this before, remember? Instead, it's kind of bugged, and it means when you get deep into the sewers, you don't get that darkness effect anymore. It just removes the sepia tone, which is really unfortunate.
Those rats are running from something.
Yeah, so Forgul wants us to follow the rats, so you get a little bit of extra dialogue. Coming this way, bonus little sneaky look. Do you remember with the Order of Whispers, we went to a small camp where we met Demi and Ben 10 Strikes and stuff, and they said they had a sneaky entrance? Well, yeah, this is an alternate entrance to that place. Up there, that's the Order of Whispers hideout, accessible from the sewers. Now, unfortunately, as a member of the Vigil, we can't go up there. It's out of bounds of the instance. It's got nothing to do with what we're doing with the Vigil, but this is one of your only glimpses to see that original route up to that Vigil outpost. What does Forgul say right now? The same thing. But yeah, back to the post-processing story. It doesn't get dark here, but there is a little benefit you can get now, a small perk. Remember how before I mentioned we could go to our options to disable post-processing to remove the sepia effect? Well, through this one instance, Forearmed is Forewarned, if you walk deep into the sewer, the game will disable the sepia effect while still having post-processing on.
This path leads back outside. We should go the other direction.
And if we ignore Forgul and just walk back out, you can get out into old LA without the sepia, but post-processing on. Does that all make sense? So if you really want the truest, best way graphically to see what Old Lion's Arch looks like when it's kind of difficult to explore, you do it this way. You can come out now, go into the sewer, turn around, come back out, and you can have original Lion's Arch with original post-processing enabled, but not a sepia tone. Woo! There you go. The whole story. Look at all this ridiculous, stupid little mechanical stuff I like to teach you guys about. There you have it. All right, Forgul, I know you're... Forgul must genuinely hate us. I've rallied him around and dragged him on the most ridiculous adventures.
Lion Guard died fighting. Whatever killed them was powerful.
Oh, God, okay, yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize we were wading around on their bodies. There's corpses here. And in amongst ooze, really? I mean, what a horrible death to die in a sewer. Don't forget, this isn't just regular water. This is going to be all kinds of sludge and nasty stuff. Hence why there are ooze here. All right. And especially as a char, you're not going to enjoy that. Well, what else we got? Forgul, you still coming?
The grate below is broken. We should check through there.
I was going to say, well, it looks like a dead end, doesn't it, guys? The grates are still all right, but that grate at the entrance was broken for a reason. There are Lion Guard dead for a reason, and this is the reason. Look, something's busted through from the depths. Well, we have to swim down. So, we get some underwater content. Starting off with fighting a drake here. As a warrior underwater, we have our spear. I don't remember if we saw the spear gun or anything. This must be a super low level spear. Let's look at our equipment here, because Forgul can defend us from the drake. Yeah, this is only a level 8 spear. The other one we've got is level 23, so let's equip the level 23 one. So we're going to do very, very minimal damage here, which kind of scares the hell out of me. But that's okay, because we can buff it up by equipping some utility skills underwater here too. Tyrix actually has a huge range of warrior underwater abilities, so we should be alright. Okay, we can pump ourselves with Might and Fury with 4 Great Justice. That's excellent, and a ton of it. We can equip Frenzy to give ourselves quickness and even more might. We could equip a Banner of Strength we could cast down here and buff our strength even more, and Forgul's at the same time. And then the one elite we get, unfortunately we can't use Warband support or any of this, but we can use the Signet of Rage. So that should give us a lot of Might and Fury, which should buff our damage a bit. It might be worthwhile me focusing on getting better underwater stuff, because this is basically a beginner thing. Hey Forgul, Jesus. Okay, so this tunnel is not looking very good. Full of Barracuda and nasty stuff. Now, Barracuda are dangerous because they summon more Barracuda as they fight, so you want to deal with them nice and quick. There we go. What is this? A dead Hylic, it seems? A citizen of Lion's Arch, a Hylic? Well, I've heard of stranger things. We know that various races live here. We've even seen Coden around, right? So that seems pretty bad. More Barracuda, but was it killed by just these fish? Or something else? There's a jellyfish there as well. I'm going to charge our way through, guys, and see you guys in a second. This is kind of cool, you know? It's been a long time since we used this banner. We unlocked this really early in the venture, talked about it. Remember, we summon it, it buffs everyone around us, and we can pick it up and carry it around. And we can use skills like sprinting with it and giving, inspiring people with swiftness and stuff. All right, so let's drop the banner down again now. Ooh, these jellyfish really hurt. Careful, Tyrix. Jesus Christ. God, they're so dangerous. Our F1 underwater feels so good. Whirling Strike. It triple stuns everyone around us and does loads of damage. Excellent. Even more. Look at this long hole tube. We got to come down here. All right. I can deal with it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, don't worry, Forgul. I'm sure there will be plenty more. Look, we got 2 more jellyfish here as well. Almost dealt with them. Look, we dealt with the Shatterer. A couple of jellyfish aren't gonna be a problem. Oh no. All right, sweet. Forgul, you okay? You got kind of low there. Our banner just despawned. Okay, he seems all right. So another grate that's turned down. Another 2 side entrances, or a way all the way down. So you can swim along over here. I'm a bit scared of using R5.
This isn't getting us anywhere.
But as Forgul says, apparently this is a dead end. Maybe round the corner if you go a bit further. It's a dead end. I can't get down there, though, because the instance boundaries these days are a little bit too closed in. This is definitely a dead end. All right, so we got to go down. Only one way, but to continue descending below Lion's Arch. I mean, it's kind of a creepy side of the city that you don't really get anywhere else.
Something up ahead. Something moving.
Oh, I do, actually. I do. What is that? There's a big shark down there. And a salmon. And here you can see the shark is a risen shark. So that's no regular shark, guys. It's an undead one. And let me tell you, risen sharks are actually one of the more dangerous enemies in the game. They're very, very scary. Regular sharks are bad enough. Undead ones even worse. So why is there an undead shark here? Well, look at that. There is also a spectral looking, very specific style undead scout. A scout very much like what the poor Yang Ison may have met, or researcher Maver may have met in other areas of the city right around about now. So we have to take these out underwater, which does kind of scare me. Let's get the banner. If I can aggro just one, that would be really nice. Here we're blocking because I'm really scared that they'll do lots of damage. And we're going to just try and go big damage really quick here because I think they will atrophy us down otherwise. Focusing on the shark first, since he has a big charge ability that will wreck us if we're not cautious. You can see we've been poisoned as well, no doubt because they're undead. There you go. There's the charge. He moved us along. We can stun him and knock him out there. Okay, that's one. And now we got the boss as well. Forgul, get in there if you can. I'm blocking. Using our heal skill here, mending, to cleanse that poison away. It seems just being near him has poisoned the water and thus put poison on us, reducing all the healing we can do. But as long as we keep stunning him, as long as we can build enough adrenaline quick enough to keep him CC'd, I don't think he should be able to do too much damage. A good block every now and then with a skill 4 might be really nice too. All right, good. Frenzy, F1. Down you go. There we go. We interrupted him twice in a row there using the skill 3 that time. Another whirly for the win. Uh-oh, that red ring scares me. I don't like the look of that. Is that just representing the poison coming off of him? I think it might be. Either that or we interrupted him. And look down in the pit as well, guys. Look, there's more wrecks and ships and things. It's not just some random cave. There's like a whole ship down here, and you might wonder, how the hell did a ship get down here? But that's the idea, that there's all these layers of history having built up.
For great justice.
Maybe that's what got the scout here in the first place?
This place stinks like an alehouse on free curry night.
An alehouse on free curry night. Ah, brilliant. One of Forgul's best lines.
What in the name of the mist was that thing?
I've only seen such a creature once before, at Port Stalwart, just before the Orion Dragon destroyed the town, years ago. It's a special kind of scout for Zaitan. If that creature's here, then there's an undead army advancing on Lion's Arch.
Wait, are you sure about that, Forgul?
Dead sure. We don't have time to go back and report to Almora, or even send for Vigil backup. I'll head for Claw Island to warn the Lion Guard. Meet me there as soon as you can.
What's on Claw Island?
The Claw Island fortress stands in the harbor of Lion's Arch. It's the last defense against invasion from the sea. If Zaitan's going to attack the city, its minions will have to fight their way past the fort. My father died in battle, as did his father. I've always assumed... enough of my jawing. We've got work to do.
Look at him. He's a man on a mission. He is on the move really quick. Kind of creepy and scary and sad that he just openly started talking about how his father's died in battle, and as a Nornie assumed he would as well. The timing is kind of interesting, right? So, obviously, this is how the Vigil find out about Claw Island. Kind of, if anything, I think one of the more creepy versions of the whole story, to be honest. You can see there's lots of gulper fish. Once upon a time, there was a reason to swim all the way down there for some Halloween content. But, yeah, a really creepy, dark, dank little cave. And as soon as Forgul sees that scout, he's on it. Very, very, very quick. He knows that he doesn't have much time. What's really fascinating about what he just said there is that he has seen a scout like that before. The last time was at Port Stalwart. Now, I've talked about Port Stalwart already in the series. On Claw Island, there was that area named after Port Stalwart, remember? Fort Stalwart on Claw Island. We'll see it in a moment. We're headed there now. But that was a location that was attacked by undead and fell a long time ago. Kind of, you know, there's some poetry in the idea that the old Port Stalwart fell to Zaitan after the scout appeared there, and now the same might happen to Claw Island. But the thing is, that event is depicted in the novel Sea of Sorrows, which is a long time ago. Just to be clear, Port Stalwart fell to the Risen, and I've written a note here, in 1229 AE. That might not mean anything to you, so let's just remind ourselves of the current date. The current date is 1325. Port Stalwart fell in 1229. Guys, that was 96 years ago. And Forgul just said he was there. He saw a scout before that fell. All right, so they've done all of these jokes about how old he is and how old Norn can get and whatnot. And he's been thinking about his death in battle and so on. But they kind of subtly, really, if you do the math there, suggest that he's got to be at least over 100. You know, if he was born on that year, he wouldn't have any memories of having seen the scout, and why would he have been in such a dangerous place, let alone get away with it? He was probably an adult, or at least a teen, for that memory to have formed in his mind, right, at Port Stalwart. So Forgul was young and able to see it 96 years ago. How awesome is that? And it's really a detail that only if you pay very close attention to the timelines do you get to really learn just how old and grizzled this guy is. Especially for us as a Char, you know, we're not necessarily that old. But damn, man, what a legacy that man must have. What a mark he must leave on Tyria. And he's still leaving his mark as we speak. So we are going to go meet our mentor on Claw Island. And amazingly, as we have seen with Siren, unfortunately meets her demise here in this story, we're going to see how Forgul, the super old badass with more experience than a lot of them, their lives stacked end on end, how Forgul survives.
The creature we found hadn't been in Lion's Arch long. We may still have time. We have to find the Watch Commander and convince him to ready the defenses.
I smell something odd. Do you smell it?
Smell? No. But the back of my neck keeps itching for some reason.
Is that Traherne up there talking to Commander Talon?
The Orions will strike here, on Claw Island.
Thank you for meeting with us, Watch Commander Talon. We have grave news. One of Zaitan's minions breached the city. We destroyed it. But the creature was likely scouting for a much bigger force. An attack is imminent.
Traherne! Ah, by Snow Leopard's shadow, you're a sight for sore eyes. With you on our side, we've got a fighting chance. I want you to meet my partner, one of the bravest war masters in my order. My friend, this is Traherne, one of the Silvari Firstborn. He's Tyria's foremost scholar on Zaitan and Ore. I've been trying to recruit him for years.
Commander Talon, I can confirm their information. Zaitan's servants are indeed approaching. A fleet of dead ships has launched from the Straits of Devastation. The Risen sail beneath a cloak of stealth.
Traherne, you bookworm. Tell me you've got some information on how to stop this attack.
Sadly, no. I'm only here to give the Lion Guard a warning, much like you and your friend.
But at least you've come out from behind your scrolls and scribbles. That's a start. We need your common sense, lad. I'm glad you're here.
Talon, this is no normal attack. The Lion Guard cannot hold. We're overwhelmed.
Mira, the island is overwhelmed. We have to evacuate the Lion Guard and ignite the watchtowers to warn the city.
My eyes! My eyes! I can't see. My cornea, it burns.
The dragon servants will never let our ship sail. If they surround the docks, they'll slaughter us, and Zaitan's forces will grow.
Our soldiers are too injured to fight. They can barely walk. We can't form a defense and still get them all aboard.
A heroic but nearly impossible task against great odds and an unrelenting enemy. This, my friend, is a death worthy of legend. Get the wounded to safety. Warn Lion's Arch. One day, you'll come back and retake this island. Of that, I have no doubt.
Forgul, you can't hold them off alone.
I lost my mate and children to the dragons. I thought my legend was buried with them, that I had no one to walk in my footsteps and tell my tale. Now, that's changed, my friend. Thank you for being my legacy. Tell my tale at the Hearthfires, where the Skalds sing of heroes. Go. I will not fail. You may win the battle, dragon, but you will never defeat our spirit. I am Forgul, son of Kern. My father was the last Dolyak shaman. I am a war master of the Vigil. You will never make me kneel.
Mira is in bad shape. You'll have to cut a path for us.
Lion Guard, follow me.
Hurry, to the ships! This sacrifice shall not be in vain.
Nah, I'm just joking. He dies. And, well, there you go. That's how Forgul is dealt with. We learned so much about him right at the end there. About his father being the Dolyak shaman. About the fact he had a mate and kids. Where was all of this story? I really feel like each of the Order's arcs could have been like triple in length, and all the ranking through them could have felt a lot more organic and well-paced, and we could have really got to know a lot of these other stories. Or hell, just keep Forgul alive until much later in the plot, and then maybe off him afterwards. I don't really believe in all three of them dying at the same time like that, but there you have it. Unfortunately, our good old father figure is out of the picture. It's not over yet, though. Lots more going on. Almora immediately sends us a mail, and she says, form ranks at Fort Mariner. War Master, news of the death of the mighty Forgul has been a blow to us all. I'm deeply saddened to hear of it, and I know you must be suffering. But now, with Zhaitan on our shores and the city of Lion's Arch threatened, the Vigil is needed more than ever. We're regrouping at Fort Mariner to lend our efforts to the city's immediate defense. Your orders are to rendezvous there and lead a contingent of soldiers into battle. The Vigil needs your courage. Tyria needs your knowledge of our enemy's weaknesses. Be strong. General Almora, Soulkeeper. So Fort Mariner, of course, when we first interacted with the Vigil here at Lion's Arch, it was at Fort Mariner, their main base of operations. And we will see on this fateful night after Claw Island, when Zhaitan swoops into the city right on the back of his victory there, how the Vigil contribute to the defense of the city. And so, yeah, I will load in here, guys, and let's do it. The next one, Killing Fields. Oh boy, so here we go, back at Fort Mariner. Vigil Crusaders left and right. Tons of guys, they were all training before. I hope you're ready now.
So quiet. You know, I was born here. I've never heard this city so silent.
Yes, it would be peaceful. If only it didn't feel as if everything were holding its breath.
Yeah, so this is kind of a beautiful thing as well. Oh, I guess these guys are talking. I might not be able to rant away.
Are the undead on the continent? Have they taken Lion's Arch?
Not yet. Still, the city's taking precautions. The Lion Guard drew up the underwater sluice gates, cleared the streets, and put the city in lockdown.
And as you breathe out, pull the trigger.
So these guys are fighting here. Do they have anything else to say? I feel like this is kind of an interesting format that the devs don't often do.
This is a war. Stay focused.
Which is, they just have the audio rolling constantly. Almost like ambient dialogue. Usually it waits for you to stand in the right place. But last time we were at Fort Mariner, I mentioned this. There is missable dialogue over here.
They say a dragon lieutenant called Blightgast attacked Claw Island.
I heard War Master Forgul gave his life to hold it off. I can hardly believe it.
Burn me, he was brave. I hope I go down fighting like he did.
Oh, I love seeing the Char respect and admire what the Norn have been doing. Oh, that's so cool. We got this whole patrol here.
Another round for the house. 2 absent friends.
And check it out, even these guys in here are talking. Now, this is easily missable dialogue, because as you can see, we actually need to go all the way over here. So thinking of coming into this chapter house here, you know, it's not exactly going to be on the priority list of most players.
Barkeep, more ale. Let's lift one to War Master Forgul.
There you go. I think we managed to get the vast majority of it now. There's not actually that much. I guess it just plays at kind of perfect timing. We could even go up on the wall and stuff, but we're going to go this way. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how in each of the 3 instances, we do hear how quiet the city gets at this time. You know, a little bit of behind the scenes for you guys.
Gently.
On some of my earliest planning for this video series, which I'm really excited to do with you guys, one of the big ideas that inspired me was to have All three of these instances. This one where the Vigil defends here. This one where the Priory defends over here. This one where the Order of Whispers evacuates people out. The Priory deal with the Lich, and the Vigil are dealing with this. I wanted to have them all going on in tandem and do like some kind of super cut where, the timeline is perfect right now. This is literally right here where we would see Bractis standing, and I kind of wanted to cut it, but when I looked into the logistics of figuring it out, it was just completely unfeasible, and it totally changed the way I wanted to present this whole part of the story, because I was going to have all three line up here, but it's just crazy. I'd still love to see someone in the community do like a big montage supercut style thing where it still works, because it'd be cool to see just how massive this Lion's Arch attack is by watching all three at once, because most players only get like a tiny little slice based on the one order they're doing. They don't realize how much is going on all at once. Alright, so yeah, kind of a bit of melancholy in the air, a bit of sadness, a bit of tension, unease, the calm before the storm.
Scouts are reporting undead just off the coast. It's a small force, but substantial enough for concern.
Zaitan's overconfident, assuming Claw Island was the only thing standing between its army and Lion's Arch.
Then it's our job to show the dragon how wrong it was.
So I guess the main thing with it, all three going on at once, is they must be slightly different in the timeline for Trahearne to have collaborated with each of the orders. But hey guys,
remain strong.
It's good to see all the hard hitters here. So Trahearne says the Vigil troops may hold this beach, but more undead will come. We need a better solution. We'll find one, for now we make a stand here. So Trahearne thinking big picture. Lorantha's arrived as well. It's good to see you. I love the shadows over their map of Lion's Arch here and how they're planning their stuff. I never thought this day would come. I like awe far away, not standing on Tyrion's doorstep. Well, you can really feel the power of this one Elder Dragon above all looming over now. Zaitan's hunger can't be sated. We're lucky we were ready. I'm glad you're among us, Tyrix. We need you now more than ever, especially now that Forgal's gone. Don't give in to fear, my friend. Almora? Hi. I guess we have a lot to report, eh?
At ease, War Master. I heard what happened at Claw Island. The Lion Guard? No. The whole city owes you a debt of honor.
I just did my duty, ma'am. Forgal was the brave one. He gave his life to save us.
He will be remembered as one of the Vigil's great heroes, and he will be dearly missed.
Forgal's sacrifice held them back. But it was your bravery that led us to safety, my friend. I am grateful to you. If I can aid in this defense, War Master, I'm at your service.
You took out enough of Zaitan's forces to stop the imminent attack on Lion's Arch. But the dragon won't pause for long. There are reports of undead landing up and down the coast. Likely an attempt to soften the city's perimeter. We need to organize the Vigil's forces and defend the beach. Come. Let's review the troops.
I love how calm and organized and relaxed the Vigil is. I guess when you have strength of arms, you can do that. It seems a little more chaotic elsewhere, but these guys, they see the problem and they're solving it.
The pale tree guides you.
Alright, and Trahearne, it's good to see you. He's very subordinate to us here right at the start, He's like, I'm in your service, you did me a great solid. And it's interesting to see how, as his character blossoms, no pun intended, he really starts to find his feet, and that dynamic shifts between him and the player character.
Aim gently.
Another one of you is
as you breathe out,
levitate instead of march. I'm giving you gravity boots.
So we hear a little horn, very rare little sound effect there, as they rally everyone together. I think that's Almora was the one that rang that. I don't know whether she actually physically is holding one. It's cool. Look, I feel like a commanding officer. I can stand out in front, Help Almora inspire the soldiers.
Crusaders! Forces of the Elder Dragon Zaitan stand on the very threshold of Lion's Arch. If Lion's Arch falls, the nations of Tyria will not be far behind. Fight for your homes. Fight for your family. This is what we've trained for. This is what we bled for. This is what we will die to defend. We will hold this ground. We are the Vigil.
Yeah, I guess I can't roar, but I can cheer.
Do this alone. I'll stand with you.
All right, Trahearne. So they kind of have a little bit of a Lord of the Ringsy moment there, where we with a Rohirrim about to charge down the hill. Here we go, over to the beach where Zaitan's forces are massing. Get a nice little snippet of the old ArenaNet reference point. I did talk about this, right? That mini area is an arena net. There's a net hanging over the arena and there's the arena net surrounding it, and there's basically 3 bundles referencing the company name all built into one here. Well, no, maybe I just alluded to this moment where we'd come back later. Yeah. So I'm glad I'm talking about this here. You got the arena. It's basically a little mini pet arena, right? And they've just put a lot of different references to the company name. In Modern Lion's Arch, it doesn't look like this anymore. It's completely different. But okay, all right, moving back over to the beach. Let's go. Almost missed it. And yeah, everybody charges in. And we get a huge amount of work here. So Almora and Lorantha are actually staying up there to watch from on afar. And I guess that's perfectly fair of them. You don't want your commanding officers getting blown up instantly. Let's see what Zaitan's got right now. It's just undead ambling out of the water of lesser varieties. But maybe as we move further forwards, we will find that something bigger comes out. Alright, so first wave dealt with. It feels like we get even more reinforcements charging in now. Now coming out are plague carriers. These are the nasty ones that explode and do ridiculous damage. I'm going to fear so that they can't execute their explosions, which there you go, we just got hit by one. Oh god, and there's another one near us. Let's use our heal here, which turns damage into healing, so if he blows up on us, we'll be fine. Yeah, the idea is to blow them up as much as possible, because it's not so much my health. Ow, another one got through there. It's not so much my health I worry about as much as it's the Vigil. I don't want my forces dying, because they are a big asset. Here we're getting too close to the water. No! I accidentally went out of bound because of Greatsword 5. Oh, that's going to kick us out of the instance. Got to redo it all now. See you guys in a second. Oh, no. What a nightmare. So, by the way, since we have to redo it, another mechanic available here that I was going to show you at the end, but to clear it through quicker, I'll show you now. Lining the walls here, as long as you don't let the Risen progress too far up the beach, because they will come and attack these if they get far enough, are arrow carts, which you can stand on, and they give you various skills that you can also use in some of the PvP formats. This is a lot like at Steel Eye Span, ridiculous range. But this time, because the Risen will be engaged in the NPC allies, they won't regenerate health, you see. So we get Volley at 15,000 range, which we can cast all the way back here. You get Crippling Arrows, fire arrow cart arrows at the area that cripple. And you notice that there's a bigger radius on that one. And then lastly, Fire Barbed Arrows, which bleed the target as well. I read fire there as like incendiary, like flaming. But yeah, so you can siege these guys from really far away. It's a little bit less visual or interesting, but might be a quicker way to take them out. I think for most players it probably is, so let's see. You'll also notice that they put enough arrow carts here that if I was playing this with my buddies, my friends, and a party of 5, we could have 3 people on arrow carts. I think there's 3. Maybe there's only 2. And then the other people actually crunching away in the melee down there. At 15,000 range, by the way, we could even arrow cart these walls all the way up here. I mean, that's ridiculous. Okay, I think we're back to where we were before. The combat music just changed, and these are the last of the plague carriers. So let's move on in. And what do we notice? Well, there are A-bombs. I've changed my skills a little bit. Look at all the Crusaders that are dead now. This is what I didn't want to happen. The A-bombs can cleave their frenzy up really heavy because there's tons of Vigil around them. If you notice, like each swing, they can stack up really high. So it's very much a thing where we got to kill them quick, especially on this warrior where I don't have any ranged sets. I'm on pure melee. I'm on axe, mace, and greatsword right now. So we got to really get those kills quick. I guess there's 2 versions of this then. What you could do is just let everyone die before this phase and then try and solo them. And in that way, they won't build up much frenzy. But if you look, that guy got 16 there. Another cool thing with our heal skill is we can run into the charges like this and take 0 damage as long as we precast the heal, which is what you saw I just did there. We can only do so many times, obviously, because we have cooldowns to deal with. It's cool. The Vigils seem to have necromancers with them. Look, they're dropping wells of blood, which we've seen Caraflower use a great many occasions. Let's keep going. Cast Frenzy. Throw an axe to cripple him. He can't be crippled because he needs Abomination. Dodge the giant. Charge. Stack Vulnerability and Eviscerate. Yeah. Feels good. Yeah, I added a banner onto our skills and I added a signet that will bunch our strength. Woof. A lot of people went down there. Oh my god, there's even more over here. All right.
Well done.
Whoa, there we go. And the last of the A-bombs goes down.
Well,
Whew. Okay,
I'm pleased
all right.
you're here.
I think they do anyway. The combat music still sounds a little bit intense. Obviously, there's a lot of fire going on in the city here, but okay. All right. Hey, Almora. I think we've managed to clear the beach. There you go. There it is, closing off. Not easy. Took a lot of us.
Well done, soldiers. That should thin out the undead and take pressure off Lion's Arch for a while longer.
The Vigil bought us time, but not advantage. The undead don't get weary, and they have an almost unending supply of troops. We must retake Claw Island and drive Zaitan from these shores. General Soulkeeper, there are many brave souls throughout Tyria who may be willing to lend a hand, if the Vigil reached out to them.
True. A few come to mind. A Norn called Fibar has been making his name in the tournaments. Fights like a rabid drake. I also know two fine Char soldiers that I've been trying to recruit for years. Snarl and Galena. They'd be a tremendous help.
Those sound promising. I could go, ma'am, and speak on behalf of the Order.
Good initiative. Pick one or the other, and do your best to bring them aboard. Meanwhile, I'll return to Vigil Keep and rally our crusaders there.
Whatever you decide, I'm going with you. You need the help, and I owe it to Forgal.
We have a really interesting moment in that cutscene there. If you rewind for a second, the devs are always very careful of this. If your player character is speaking on one side of the two-sided cutscene, they try not to randomly swap you. They always do it intelligently. On that cutscene, though, we just randomly swap with Traherne for some reason. But yeah, okay, so we get this moment where we have this big decision. Who do we want to recruit into our order? We've seen this several times already. As I've mentioned, many of the characters that are introduced at this point in the story have big payoffs later. So the decisions for the Vigil are going to be different to the other orders. Let's see what we got. Almora. Vigil scouts report massive numbers of... Oh, that's the same thing. So, you might actually have already heard of one of these choices. With the Order of Whispers, we were in that situation too. Remember, we recognized Professor Gore. Well, what does Traherne say? We need reinforcements. I can think of two. And I love, by the way, how quickly the Vigil were just, yeah, let's retake Claw Island. They're on it immediately. I can think of two possibilities. A Norn Pit Champion or a Warband of Iron Legion Char. Well, let's talk about their strengths. Start with the Norn. Fibar is a powerful, skilled, and charismatic, but he's the most egotistical snotbrain I've ever met. Fibar. Now, do you guys recognize the name Fibar? In all likelihood, because it was many episodes ago, you probably don't. But way back when we started our adventure on Tyrix, we were hunting down what had happened to our stupid Gladium or the Father, and we met our father's best friend, a Norn, remember, in the plains of Ashford. That was Fibar. And when we spoke to Fibar, he said that he was like a brother to our father, and that means he's like an uncle to us. But Fibar never really appeared much in the story after that, did he? We literally just spoke to him. He led us to the Ogres, way back when, the original set of Ogres that we were dealing with, and we kind of parted ways. But that is Fibar, and he's a powerful, charismatic, skilled Norn that is also a bit of an egotist. Now, we could choose to recruit him for the Vigil, and what's kind of amazing is if we, as Tyrix, do this, Fibar will recognize us when we go to try and recruit him to our efforts. We'll talk to him about how we've joined the Vigil, and we'll go for it, which is kind of cool. However, sadly, I'm not going to be picking him here, even though we would kind of get that payoff and that cool link back to our early story if we went for Fibar. The reason I'm not going to pick him is because, like I said a second ago, most characters that are introduced at this point of the story have big payoffs later. They end up getting integrated into all these things, accomplish great things. Some of them have tragic moments. They may have deaths in their futures, all kinds of things. But Fibar, for some reason, has none of that. Like, you would recruit him here, and there's almost nothing that you get out of it, which is really weird. It's like there's a whole cut side of Guild Wars that was going to include Fibar, and you don't get any more. So there's basically no point recruiting him outside of the immediate instances following this one, which, yeah, is a real damn shame. It's really weird, guys, because at the end of the game, I'm not going to be very spoilery here at all, but at the end of the game, they do like some celebratory instances where many of the most prominent NPCs have a role to play. And Fibar is included at the end as a really prominent NPC, despite the fact, like I just explained, he's hardly in the game at all. So we're not going to pick Fibar, even though it'd be cool to have our uncle, so to speak, do stuff, because he doesn't get really much dialogue. What about the Char then? Well, the Gear Warband have two claims to fame. They've built an impressive war engine, and they got so drunk that they lost it. Bizarre. All right, I'm ready to decide. I've made my decision. Which will it be? The gear warband? What? Remember how we opened this video? Talking about how the Char had developed technology to fight the ghosts, and they were using the ghost battery muskets and stuff? Yeah, that was the gear warband. And you know, if some of the Char have figured out how to do anti-undead stuff in terms of ghosts, surely that would be good against the Risen too, no? Unlike Fibhar, the gear warband will have a large role to play in the story to come, so we're going to grab them. That will be next time, guys. Thanks very much for watching. We're going back to Ascalon.
What's next?
To find some more Char Legionnaires to recruit for the Vigil cause. Always could use more Char. See you guys shortly.
Are you really my father? That's right. Some dads don't watch their cubs. I do. Why are you here? To brag if you win, and walk away in shame if you lose. Don't lose.